My name is Aliana Biray and today I will discuss about the climate change mitigation and adaptation. Sir Nicholas Stern reported in 2006 in his review of the economics of climate change that the scientific evidence is now overwhelming. Climate change presents very serious global risk and it demands an urgent global response. So in 2006, Sir Nicholas Stern conducted a review on the economics of climate change. He asserted that there was an overwhelming amount of scientific evidence supporting the fact that climate change posed significant global risk. As a result, he emphasized the urgent need for a global response to address this critical issue. In essence, Stern's statement underscores the gravity of climate change and the imperative for swift and coordinated action on a global scale to mitigate its consequences. Greenhouse gas emissions can be reduced by improving the efficiency of global energy supply, reducing demand for goods and services that emit a lot of greenhouse gases in their production, avoiding deforestation, pit drainage, and other land management activities that increase emissions, and using lower carbon techniques for power or heat generation and transport. This sentence suggests that greenhouse gas emissions can be reduced by optimizing how we produce and use energy, being mindful of the emissions associated with the products and services that we consume, protecting natural habitats, and adopting cleaner technologies in energy generation and transportation. These actions collectively contribute to mitigating climate change. There have been attempts at getting the international community to sign up to legally binding agreements, and the 1997 Kyoto Protocol was ratified by 175 countries but not by major emitters such as USA, India, and China. So, this sentence discusses efforts to establish legally binding agreements within the international community related to environmental issues. Specifically, it mentions the 1997 Kyoto Protocol, which was accepted by 175 countries. However, it highlights that major emitters like the USA, India, and China did not ratify the Kyoto Protocol, indicating that the significant contributors to greenhouse gas emissions did not commit to its provisions. This suggests that while there were global attempts at environmental cooperation, some key nations chose not to participate in this particular agreement. The December 2009 Copenhagen Summit sought to get agreements from more countries for total reductions, but these talks failed to reach an agreement. So this sentence is describing the December 2009 Copenhagen Summit, which was a major international conference aimed at securing agreements from multiple countries to commit to more ambitious reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. However, despite efforts and negotiations at the summit, these talks ultimately failed to reach a consensus or agreement among the participating nations. This was a significant event is the context of global efforts to address climate change, as it highlighted the challenges and complexities of international climate negotiations at that time. If countries are to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, then economists such as Nicholas Stern have argued that there should be an appropriate common global price put on carbon. This is why you may have heard the term carbon trading. So those who are polluting are causing consequences for others who will have to pay the cost. Therefore, it is argued that the polluter should pay this cost. The purpose of this would be to encourage people to move to low carbon technology and be more efficient about the carbon they use. It may also help pay for investment in further mitigation strategies. So, such strategies include providing better insulation for homes, so that less energy is waste, or moving to more wind, wave, or nuclear energy generation methods. As well as mitigation, adaptation is needed to deal with the inevitable impacts of climate change that will occur before mitigation measures take effect. So, this statement underscores the need for both mitigation and adaptation because climate change is already underway and some of its impacts are inevitable, even if we take immediate action to reduce emissions. In other words, mitigation measures may take time to fully take effect and slow down the rate of climate change. Therefore, adaptation becomes crucial to address the current and near future challenges posed by climate change, while mitigation works to address the long-term issue of reducing emissions and slowing down the rate of change. Individually, some people try to take personal responsibility for their carbon emissions by calculating their carbon footprint and changing their lifestyle or paying for carbon offsetting schemes. The carbon footprint is the amount of carbon, often expressed in terms of the equivalent amount of carbon dioxide that an individual or organization uses over a given time period. So this explains that some individuals take it upon themselves to be accountable for the carbon emissions they produce. They do this by calculating their carbon footprint, which is the total amount of carbon, usually measured as the equivalent amount of carbon dioxide, generated by their actions and lifestyle choices over a specific period. To reduce their impact on the environment, these people may make changes in their daily lives or participate in carbon offsetting programs, which involve activities that aim to compensate for their emissions by reducing emissions elsewhere, like planting trees or investing in renewable energy projects. Essentially, it's about individuals trying to minimize their contribution to climate change by being aware of and taking action regarding their carbon emissions. So, before I end my video presentation, let me read for you the quote saying, "The less we do to address climate change now, the more regulation we will have in the future," by Bill Nye. So, that's all, and that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.